So this phase, his learning years when he traveled around the planet, mainly Middle East, is phase 2 of the context. Phase 3 is the Semyaza context, which was so carefully investigated by Wendell Stevens and his team, but we don't, have to go deeper into this one anymore. It's all documented. And phase 4 is after Semyaza left the planet, the context which was still ongoing, the context with Quetzal and Ptah. And the last contact Billy Meier had just the night before his birthday on the 2nd of February 1999. So the contacts are still ongoing. And he regularly gets new information. And I tell you, the last picture of a Billy Meier ship was shot in April of 1998, not by Billy, but by a lady from Zurich, who by coincidence shot it, and I will show you the picture. And I will show you pictures of Billy Meier UFOs taken all over the planet, showing that his alleged models don't make a world tour, do they? Billy never left Switzerland in the last couple of years because for health reasons he cannot fly. That's the reason why he can't be here. But we will have him on video on an interview I made just a year ago. So you will see how he looks today. You can listen to him. We also have his most interesting films, including the complete wedding cake ship film, which was taken in 1984, and which is a very interesting piece of evidence that it is not a trash can, and I call it the trash can trash of the Fox network hoax, the greatest hoax in the history of television, as I called it before. We will come into some details of the unfortunate marriage between him and his wife, who left him because he didn't want to give all his attention to her, but he wanted to give his attention to his mission. And who now unfortunately joined with the debunkers, or who I interviewed this lady personally in the late 1980s for hours and hours and hours, and she told me about all the experiences she had. And what we do have, interestingly enough, is an affidavit of Mrs. Calliope Poppy Meier Zafiroi, which is her original name, her family name, she's Greek. But she never witnessed any manipulation in the Meier case, and she did witness the Pleiadian spaceships several times. This is an affidavit filed in Switzerland. So, since we have this affidavit, and allegedly she said something totally different to the Fox network show, I really wonder what is true. But since I talked to this woman for hours and hours and hours, I rather believe what she told me personally than in anything else. And we already found out that Mr. Karl Korff is the greatest genius of our times, and most probably the Messiah we expected for 2,000 years to come back. Since Mr. Karl Korff was able to materialize fragments of a crashed Russian UFO, which never crashed in reality, so it's a very interesting thing. In his book, we really find information which makes us wonder what kind of hidden genius he is and that he deserves the Nobel Prize. He says he did, I quote from the book, this is his book. It's not worth to waste the money for it, but I quote from it. And we had a very, very interesting research trip. He had shot back to the position with an amazing speed, and Billy is zooming into it. And here we have the same craft, and we will have an enlargement later. I made enlargement so you can see more details. But this is the original 8mm film as Billy took it. Of course, it lost a little bit of the color with the time. It was 25 years old when we retrieved it, and nearly 25, 23 actually, 23 years old when we retrieved it from, just to give Wendell the information, Ewart von Hagen. You know Ewart von Hagen. And he is a nobleman, old family, one of the oldest families in Europe, who is a big admirer of Billy Meier and got the film from him. So here we have the ship closer. Again, note the floating movement. Very interesting. And here Billy zooms in. It is not the ship coming closer, but Billy zooming, because you see the cloud also gets closer. So Billy is zooming in and out, but you get more details. And keep in mind, he does everything with one arm. So, interestingly enough, this is a beautiful film taken from NASA in 1985, in one of the space shuttle missions, STS-38 I think it was. And here we see it in enlargement, a ball-shaped craft making the same pendulum movements we saw on the Billy Meier film. That's the reason why I'm using this film here as in comparative footage. You have the same types of floating movements. And this is a film nobody faked, unless you believe that Billy Meier was hovering in the heavens with this little model. This is another beautiful film taken in March of 1976, actually on March 29th, and at an Hasenbowl area. And here you have the ship partially disappearing behind the hill. It is definitely beyond the hill. We analyzed it very carefully. And it sometimes disappears behind the hill and comes up again. So now it's moving up. Very slowly and deliberately. I mean, they can shoot away as we saw before, but deliberately, very slowly, so Billy has more possibility to film. These are mountains in the background, snow-covered mountains. And here we have Free Craft, beautiful film, also taken end of March 1976.